Welcome to the Mormon Women's Oral History Project. I'm Melissa Mason, one of the directors of the project, and I'm going to guide you through this tutorial, giving you some basic information, showing you the forms you'll be working with, and hopefully answering any questions that you might have. You've probably looked around our site already, but if you haven't, I'd recommend reading our About page and also our frequently asked questions, so you can have a basic knowledge of what we're about. Our goal here at the project is to empower women to tell their stories and to create a historical archive to preserve and perpetuate their voices and memories. We envision an ever-expanding collection of both physically and digitally archived women's oral histories that cover a broad spectrum of Mormon women's experiences. We pay particular attention to creating an equally empowering experience in the creation of oral history, both benefiting the women who will be active listeners and living memory keepers, and the women who will feel the validation of seeing their memories, thoughts, and experiences become part of society's narrative. Thanks for wanting to be a part of this. Many of our interviewers have been surprised to find that the process is both personally and spiritually transformative for them, and we hope that you'll have the same experience. So let's go ahead and get started. First, we have the individual release form. This is the waiver that allows the project to use the history in our collection. Have your interview subject read and sign it. You're the producer, so go ahead and sign that line as well. Read through the form and make sure you're familiar with it. Basically, it says that the final documents that come from the interview, the edited transcript of the oral interview, will be added to the collection and placed in the historical archive in physical and other forms. These documents will be used by scholars, historians, students, and others as source material for publications such as books, articles, multimedia, and other projects. Those people will request access from the project to use the materials and permission to quote or use the materials in their work. The next form is crucial for our archiving purposes. The summary form accompanies each history and serves as its cover page. Fill out the top sections completely and leave the bottom section for us. The last form you'll need is the list of questions. This is a helpful guide for you as an interviewer and also helps ensure that most of the histories in the collection hit a certain range of topics so that scholars can compare a diversity of women's different experiences with, say, married life or their views on Relief Society. There are 3 sections. Personal history tends to be the one that women speak about the longest, and that's great. We've found that when speaking freely about the past, interesting and important memories and stories tend to pop up. It's not only nice for the historical record, but also as a family record. Attitudes on LDS Women's Views allows women to express their thoughts and views on topics such as personal revelation, priesthood, Heavenly Mother, and sisterhood. Experiences in the LDS Church asks about specific parts of a woman's life in the church, calling, significant leaders, influential events, etc. You'll see that this broad range of topics really helps to paint a comprehensive picture of your subject's life and thoughts as an LDS woman. You're not limited to just these questions, and you're not required to ask them all. My co-director, Liz Johnson, will share some more thoughts on how to interview effectively in just a moment. A quick note about recording devices. You don't need to go out and buy anything fancy to record histories. You can do it with equipment you probably already have. Your laptop, smartphones, or iPad will usually do the trick, but be sure you have enough available space to save the file or save it to the cloud. All those devices come with basic recording software that you can use, or you can download a special app like Easy Voice Recorder or RecForge Pro. There are also specific handheld recording devices available. My recorder of choice is the Etic City USB recorder shown in the picture. It's a simple USB stick that has an on-off switch and records up to 150 hours of audio and only costs about $16. You simply turn it on, set it next to your subject, and go. Now my co-director, Liz Johnson, will give a few tips on conducting the interview and the relationship between the interviewer and the subject.
An important part of conducting an oral history interview is to remember that it's not about you, it's about the person telling their story. You might have additional questions about a certain aspect of their story or want to know more details, but be sure not to press for things that they're not ready to share. We don't require our narrators to make strong statements. If you want more information or to clarify a point, ask questions like, how did that event affect you? Or, can you expand on that or give an example from your life? Our interviewers should make every effort to be warm, interested, and approving. If something is being described but it seems unclear, you can ask them to clarify points or clear up dates and places. But try to remember that this is their narrative. We try to only ask questions when a lull or pause occurs in the storytelling. The provided questions can be useful prompts to both get started as well as keep the story going. It's important that the narrator feels safe with their interviewer and that they're speaking with a person or persons with whom they share a basic trust. We want people to feel safe enough to tell the intimate stories of their lives and their spiritual experiences without fear of judgment or repercussion. For example, one woman interviewed several women in her neighborhood but felt she wasn't getting the deep, intimately personal stories that she got from other close friends in her lives that lived elsewhere. Only after several interviews did she realize that she wasn't just interviewing them as their neighbor and friend, but also as the stake president's wife. Some women didn't feel comfortable sharing their true feelings with that kind of power dynamic at play. While it can be an incredible bonding experience to share these histories in small groups, we encourage you to be careful of whom you include for the sake of the narrators involved.
Now you've come to the most time-consuming part, transcribing the audio. Once your audio file has been transferred to your computer, you're ready to begin. Set a goal each day, like transcribing 10 minutes of audio per day. A few tips when transcribing. With many audio players, you can slow down playback speed, which allows you to type without having to keep up with the speed of speech. There are also programs available, such as Listen and Write, which let you use toggle keys on your keyboard to pause and back up in the audio so that you don't have to keep stopping to use your mouse. Take a look at the sample transcription above. Note that we insert headings to make the interview organized. Add page numbers as well. Transcribers edit as they go, smoothing out repetitions, grammatical errors, false starts, etc. Don't erase your subject's voice, though. Sometimes expressing pauses, hesitations, add to the honesty and emotion of the text. Use a light hand when editing. Your subject can always go back and take something out if they'd like. Once your transcription is done, send it back to the narrator so she can read over it, edit it as she likes, and make any corrections. This is important as we don't always hear names or dates correctly. One of our favorite examples from an early interview came when the subject said that a building was occupied by insurgents. The transcriber typed that the building was occupied by young surgeons, which is not a minor difference. Once your subject has approved the transcript, you can mail your documents to us at the address on the bottom of this website or to our email address, mormonwomenohp@gmail.com. From that point, we'll format the history, assign it a number, and place it in our archived collection where it will stay for future historians to discover. Thank you again for being interested in contributing to this important project. You're going to find that the process is extremely rewarding and even addictive. It's fantastic to do as a hobby, a service project, or as a group. If you're interested in group formats, check our resource page for some ideas. Finally, please consider donating to the project. We're an entirely volunteer organization, and we're always appreciative of financial support to defray the costs of publishing volumes, maintaining our website, and providing oral history workshops. Every little bit helps and is greatly appreciated. Thanks, and please contact us if you have any questions or need any help getting started.